State in football in that 1951 season. This time I'd like to welcome his son Bailey, who's a Beechwood Hall of Fame member. Introduce him.
Well, unfortunately, you're going to hear some of those things again. Because if I try to alter my speech, it's not going to work. 1951, Beechwood's playing Ludlow. Yeah, we played Ludlow back in the 50s also. And Ludlow's winning 7-0. And they had scored a touchdown, and they ran it in for the extra point. Because back in the early 50s, there was no two-point conversion. You either ran it in, you passed it, or you kicked it. It's all 1 point. So in the second half, down 7-0, Beechwood's captain, the 5'11", 190-pound running back, John Morlidge, gets knocked out cold. Would have liked to have seen that. Now, this shouldn't have surprised anyone. He's wearing a leather helmet with no face mask. As we all know, that's what everybody was wearing. And we thought we were tough. My guys back here, we thought we were tough. I don't think so. They finally get him off the field. Gets on the sideline, doesn't know his name, doesn't know where he is. And after a little while, he finally figures he's good enough to go back in the game. So he goes up to Coach Edgar McNabb, says, "Coach, I'm ready." Coach McNabb sends him in, probably with a concussion. Again, no one knew back then. So he's a little woozy, but he goes in and he scores a touchdown. After he scores a touchdown, they get back in the huddle to talk about the extra point. My dad says, "I'm going to kick it." Well, normally that wouldn't be so weird, except for the fact no one in Beechwood history had ever kicked an extra point. No one in Beechwood history had ever attempted an extra point. Matter of fact, they'd never practiced kicking. So his teammates thought he was crazy. He wasn't crazy, he was just a little loony still. So they argue a little bit, but because my dad's the captain, they finally gave it to him. And so he says, "Snap to Phil, Phil, you hold it, and I'm kicking it." So they line up, and I can only imagine Edgar McNabb on the sideline, seeing these guys lined up to kick something they've never practiced, never talked about. So they snap it, he kicks it, and believe it or not, it hits the crossbar. It goes over. So 1 point, tie game 7-7, and that's how the game ended, with my dad kicking the first extra point in Beechwood history. Mr. Brown, what do you think about that? He might not be able to figure that out but as we know, it was a different time back then. Leather helmets, no face masks. The beautiful Edgar McNabb field today used to be the Edgar McNabb cow pasture. My dad used to cross it every day, walking to school from Orchard Road. He had to avoid the cows and the cow patties. And Edgar McNabb finally got the cows out of there, but he couldn't seem to get rid of the rocks. My dad said they all had to pick up rocks before every practice and throw them off to the side. And I thought practicing on Beechwood's outfield was bad in the late 70s. That's not bad. But as Richard said, my dad was a great athlete. He played football, basketball, baseball, golf, and ran track. And he was a great athlete in all sports, but he loved football and golf. Those were his two things. And little did he know, when he was at Beechwood, that he would end up playing both sports in college. But starting with football, of course, as Richard said, he played all the positions. He did whatever Edgar McNabb needed him to do. The one thing that I hate is that back in the 50s, they didn't keep stats, or they had very few stats. So either he played quarterback, running back, played linebacker, all these different positions. We have no idea how many yards he rushed for. We have no idea how many passes he completed. We have no idea how many tackles he had. All we know is he got plenty of scholarship offers. He got offers from Louisville, Eastern Kentucky, Moorhead, Xavier, and Washington and Lake. So we know he's pretty good. He made honorable mention All-State. To my opinion, not my dad's, he wouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. If they did All-State back then like they do today, I think he would have been first team. They didn't break it down in 1A, 2A, 3A, and all that stuff. Everybody was just lumped together. And Beechwood was so small, the varsity team had to scrimmage 8th and 9th graders because they didn't have enough varsity players to scrimmage each other. Yet Beechwood was lumped in with all the big schools around the state. And that's okay, but I just think, if he was playing today, I think he would have been a first teamer. My dad loved playing football and also golf. And when he was on the golf team at Beechwood, they had some of the best teams they ever had. In 1951, they won the regional championship. It was the very first regional championship in Beechwood history in any sport. My dad and his guys liked it so much they did it again in 1952. So the first two regional championships for a Beechwood team in any sport were my dad's junior and senior year golf teams. Oh yeah, almost forgot my favorite story. When my dad was playing golf at Beechwood, although this wasn't a Beechwood event, he played in the U.S. National Junior Amateur golf tournament in Cincinnati. And as I said, it's not a Beechwood event, but he was still a Beechwood, so I'm counting. In that event, in the same group, he played with a chubby kid from Columbus, Ohio. My dad beat that chubby kid from Columbus that day by 3 strokes. Some of you are smiling. That chubby kid was Jack Nicklaus. Of course, my dad loves telling that story, and then he gets a big smile on his face, and he says, well, of course, I was 17 and Jack was 12. And my dad still beat Jack. As I said earlier, Dad played golf and football in college. He got the football scholarship to Washington and Lee, where he played his freshman year. After his freshman year, he transferred to Miami University, where after sitting out a year because of the transfer rules, he played on the golf team his junior and senior year. So there are several things, well, there are a lot of things about my dad that impresses me, but a couple of them are this. Number one, he's 85 years old in 2 months, and he's in better shape than I am. He also has less gray hair than I do. But the thing that always impressed me growing up and just trying to follow his footsteps, playing 2 sports in college. I know there are a lot of great athletes that have come through Beechwood. There are a lot of people, not a lot, there are probably a few that did play 2 sports in college. And there are some that probably could have but didn't. But it's a very small number, I can promise you, that have enough talent to play 2 different sports in college. So that always was amazing to me. My dad has always been my hero. He always will be my hero. And because of that, this is such a special night for me. It's a great honor to introduce one of the greatest athletes in Beechwood history. Excuse me. It's just a great honor. I'm going to leave it at that. My dad is so special to me and to our whole family. But it's just wonderful to be able to introduce him for induction to the Beechwood Athletic Hall of Fame. John Morlidge.
Thank you, Bailey. Like him up there?
Yes, yep.
Thank you, Bailey, for all those sort of exaggerated.
Not in my mind.
I love it. Want to thank everybody here involved with this evening. They do such a great job here for all these events, and for, of course, the Commander-in-Chief and General Manager of all these events, Beechwood grad Scott Mesher. He works this place sometimes 5 or 6 nights a week and never tires. He keeps going. And I want to thank our very gorgeous young alumni relations director and special events director for Beechwood, Carol Byrd. And also in passing, I can't let go by that we don't thank in absentia 2 wonderful guys, Edgar McNabb and Joe Corcoran, who in 1944 started coaching the first Beechwood football team. They played reserve teams and beat some of them. They couldn't beat Highlands, the Holmes in reserves, but they played them. And after that, of course, from that point came the great successes that we've had in the last, 30, 40 years, but especially the last 25 or so. We won 14 state championships in football. And basketball, it's even more amazing. In 1946 or 45, Beechwood beat Holmes, first time in history in basketball, 33-32. And I don't know if we've ever beaten them again till this year in basketball. We beat them this year, maybe in between. I don't think we did. They had 57 students in 46, and Holmes had 2,000. And also, Beechwood won the district in basketball in 48 or 9, I can't remember which one, and went to the finals of the regional. Fantastic again, no students, beat all the big schools, and went to the finals of regional. And I don't think Beechwood's gone to a regional tournament in basketball again until, well, sometime in the last few years. Now, maybe they went sometime in the 80s or 90s. Brad Hood might know, but I don't remember if they did. So they were fantastic two guys, even though they didn't have all the successes later, but those were fantastic. And if you'll return with me now to the Jurassic period, the summer of 1942, I want to tell you about two of the greatest athletes, versatile athletes in Beechwood history, through the 40s and 50s anyway, and probably through the 60s, with the possible exception of Nelson. But in 1942, I was riding my bicycle, probably my tricycle, on Fort Mitchell Avenue, and amidst great tumult and shouting, here came Gordon Hood and his merry men, pushing, pulling, pushing, kicking, rolling a large telephone pole to which they attached a backboard, rim, and net, and installed it in the lot up above the streetcar tracks off Fort Mitchell Avenue. This attracted a lot of play because there weren't any outside basketball courts in those days. This might have been the first one in Kenton County. Outside the city of Covington, I imagine they had one. But people from Park Hills, Fort Wright, Lakeside Park, even Crescent Springs, Covington, would come by the streetcar sometimes, and they know that the court was there, people were playing, and so they started making trips there. And Gordon Hood played against some of the biggest guys you've ever seen, a big center from St. Xavier. They won the state tournament. Gordon could outplay him, and it was fantastic. And Gordon also in that game against Holmes played against a big guy, and Gordon was so quick. His reflexes were unbelievable. The quickest you'll ever see almost anybody. Any ball came into that guy, he had trouble getting it. Gordon could knock it away, even intercept it, or give him fits, make him have to go for it. And we beat him. And Gordon outplayed him. I mean, it was fantastic. And football, the guy ran for so many yards, he's all they had was a single wing. He was the tailback. And they had an 18 special around right end. Unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how many yards he averaged, but he made at least 11 or 12 touchdowns that season. And they were all 50 yards or longer runs, all in that one play. And everybody knew they were going to run him. So he was a fantastic guy. Now, a little later on that court where they played basketball, I used to play after watching these guys and learning the game a little bit. And along about 1947, big guy lived in our neighborhood, Jim Wilshire, came by. And Jim and I played a lot of one-on-one. It was really one and a half. We called it one-on-one. And we had games that sometimes every Saturday morning after we played football or basketball, had a game, we'd usually play over there. And I learned how to get a position in rebounding that really helped. I learned how not to be rebounded. Let him rebound the ball, but so I got out of his way pretty much. But those were great days, and those two guys were really something to watch. I also wanted to mention a guy named Jim Boudry, who went to Kentucky on a scholarship. He was only Beechwood 1 year, or he'd be up here. Scholarship when Bear Bryant was there, and he lasted through the freshman year. He took all the abuse, because they start off with 80 freshmen, ended up with 21 or 2. And he said he was going to stay if they didn't redshirt him. Well, they said they wouldn't, but he found out they were going to redshirt him. So he transferred to Ohio State, where his mother and father lived, and he played for a guy named Woody Hayes. So how many people can ever say they played on a team that Bear Bryant coached, and he did play for a team that Woody Hayes coached. He didn't start, but I went up and saw some games. He was a second string cornerback, and he was a tough guy. This guy was something else, and he had a bad injury, and he still played when he could, and nothing phased that boy. But they were great, all those guys, and a bunch more, but I wanted to mention those three in particular. Just a minute now, I'm having a senior moment.
I had one too.
Well, anyway, that's pretty much it. I just want to thank the selection committee. They're very keen and acute in their perception. But the main reason I'm up here is because of their generosity. And I want to thank them all, wherever they are. The old Fitzgeralds in the truck coming to you soon. Now, I want to, as I look around at these inductees and the ones that have already been inducted around this room, I want to say I probably don't really deserve to be in this group. But then I don't deserve my lovely wife or my very kind, happy family either. Yay, Beechwood! Beechwood the champion! Wait a minute, I'll put my heels on.
All right, there you go. Congratulations. There you go.